Hey all, it is Mrs. Flem with ya. We are here to go over the last chapter of A Rose for Emily. So we are on chapter 5, and it's a short chapter like a lot of them are, but it's full of a lot of information. So really quickly, on chapter 4, talked about her china painting lessons. Remember on chapter 4, the townspeople really truly thought that Homer and Emily were married. Homer got back from his home in the north, and once he walked into the house, nobody ever saw him again. Nobody really saw Miss Emily again, except for when she was sitting silhouetted in the window. But then she moved from the window upstairs to a window downstairs. So they figured out why when they were at her funeral, because the upstairs had been shut off, like nobody could go up there. So the only person that they saw going in and out was Toby. Almost 75 years this story has spanned. So we are going to head chapter 5, and we're going to start right up here on daily. Daily, monthly, yearly. We watch the Negro grow grayer and more stooped, going in and out with the market basket. Each December, we sent her a tax notice, which would be returned by the post office a week later, unclaimed. Now and then we would see her in one of the downstairs windows. She had evidently shut up the top floor of the house, like the carven torso of an idol in a niche, looking or not looking at us, we could never tell which. Thus, she passed from generation to generation, dear, inescapable, impervious, tranquil, and perverse. And so she died. She fell ill in the house filled with dust and shadows, with only a doddering Negro man to wait on her. We did not even know that she was sick. We had long since given up trying to get any information from the Negro. He talked to no one, probably not even to her, for his voice had grown harsh and rusty, as if from disuse. She died in one of the downstairs rooms in a heavy walnut bed with a curtain, her gray head propped on a pillow, yellow and moldy with age and lack of sunlight. The Negro met the first of the ladies at the front door and let them in, with their hushed, sibilant voices and their quick, curious glances. We're at her funeral. And then he disappeared. He walked right through the house and out the back, and he was never seen again. The two female cousins came at once. They held the funeral on the second day, with the town coming to look at Miss Emily beneath a mass of bought flowers, with the crowned face of her father musing profoundly above the bier, and the ladies sibilant and macabre, and the very old men, some of them in their brushed Confederate uniforms, on the porch and the lawn, talking of Miss Emily as if she had been a contemporary of theirs, believing that they had danced with her and courted her, perhaps. Confusing time with its mathematical progression, as the old do, to whom all the past is not a diminishing road, but instead a huge meadow, which no winter ever quite touches, divided from them now by the narrow bottleneck of the most recent decade of years. So Toby left. He just left, up and left. I want you to point out here on the second line, the crown drawing of Miss Emily's dad that she had done clear back when she was a little girl, still there on the fireplace, on the easel. And the men, remember when we talked about, clear up at the beginning of the story almost, when we talked about Emily and her father as a tableau, and the narrator painted a story for us, like here's Miss Emily's father with, what did he have? Like some kind of weapon. Miss Emily was in the background, and no men were going to get past her dad, and therefore she never married. Well, the story is saying that as you age and as you get older, those memories sometimes get clouded, right? And so all of these men came dressed in their Confederate uniforms. They're old men now, of course, but they are talking about all the times that they went out with Miss Emily or danced with this Miss Emily or whatever. They didn't. But the years clouded the truth, okay? Already we knew that there was one room in that region above the stairs which no one had seen in 40 years. 40 years. And which would have to be forced open. So they waited until Miss Emily was decently in the ground before they opened it. The violence of breaking down the door seemed to fill this room with pervading dust. A thin, acrid pall as of a tomb seemed to lie everywhere upon this room, decked and furnished as for a bride. Upon the valance curtains of faded rose color, upon the rose-shaded lights, upon the dressing table, upon the delicate array of crystal, and the man's toilet things, backed with tarnished silver. Silver so tarnished that the monogram was obscured. We're getting in it now. All right. So they break down the room, right? And nobody had been in there for 40 years. 40 years. 40. Okay? 40 years. And they broke it down, and there was this film of nasty dust everywhere. And the narrator's taking us through different aspects of the room, okay? It was like a tomb furnished for a bride's room. You could see the dust on the curtains. They were a rose color. Upon the rose-shaded lights, you could see the dust. Dust on the dressing table. Dust on the crystal. And there on this dresser set a man's toilet things, a set of toiletry that had been tarnished. And they were so tarnished that you could barely see the monogram that was engraved on them. Among them lay a collar and a tie, like a bow tie, right? Okay, as if they had just been removed, which left upon the surface a pale crescent in the dust. So they were set there, and then years and years and years and years of dust formed upon them. And when they brought them up, you could see where the dust mold was. Upon a chair hung the suit, carefully folded, and beneath it, 2 mute shoes and discarded socks. The man himself lay in the bed. There was a man in the bed. For a long while, we just stood there, looking down at the profound and fleshless grin. The body that had apparently once lain in the attitude of an embrace, but now the long sleep that outlasts love, that conquers even the grimace of love, had crippled him, made him stay there. What was left of him was rotted beneath what was left of the nightshirt, and it had become inextricable from the bed. You couldn't get it apart from the bed in which he lay. And upon him and upon the pillow beside him lay that even coating of the patient and biting dust. Then we noticed that in the second pillow was an indentation of a head. One of us lifted something from it, and leaning forward, that faint and invisible dust, dry and acrid in the nostrils, we saw a long strand of iron gray hair. Golly Moses. Okay. You want to say hi? I don't know if anybody can see you or not. Go chew your stick. All right. So let me tell you what's going on here. They broke down the room, and there's dust everywhere. Nobody had been in there for 40 years. Remember, Homer Barron just left. He disappeared when he came back to Jefferson. He disappeared. Nobody ever saw him again. He was laying in the bed, dead. He was dead. And he'd been laying there for 40 years. Everything in the room was outfitted like it was a bride's room that you would go to consummate your marriage after you got married. He had rotted into the bed. That means inextricable. They couldn't get him apart from the bed. Dakota, don't eat those shrubs. Dakota, no. Bring that stick over here. Bring it over here and eat it. Bring it over here. Oh, it's in your collar. Hey, come here. Come here. It's in your collar. You are an idiot. Hold on. Hey. Let me help you. Okay, you got it. Dear land. Feel sorry for me. All right. He had rotted into the bed. And when they saw him, it looked like he was hugging something in an embrace. And then, Benson, get out of there. Benson. Thank you. And then on the pillow next to him was an indentation, like somebody had been laying there with him. And they picked up an iron gray hair. Do you not remember? Hold on. Peanut, get over here, please. Do you not remember that the narrator told us that Miss Emily, her hair had been iron gray in her later years? Do you not remember that 40 years ago, she went to the druggist to buy rat poison for rats? Do you not remember that the alderman, when her father was killed or when her father died, went to sprinkle lime around the house because there was an awful smell, and they figured out that it was probably because of her dad? Was it? Or was it Homer Barron? Did she kill Homer Barron? Did Homer Barron die of old age? How did Homer Barron die? She was laying with a dead body for years and years. Did she kill Homer Barron? We don't really know, but we're led to think that she did. So why would she have killed Homer Barron? Because she didn't want Homer Barron to leave her like her dad did. Freaky story. Freaky story. I love this story. It is twisted. It is weird. So anyway, that is a rose for Emily. So on Monday, you will have your assignment that goes along with this story. So hopefully you've listened to all 5 chapters. I hope that you have enjoyed this story. I really do. It really, truly is one of my favorites ever to read to classes. So, hey, have a great weekend. I know that it's only Thursday, but I also know that you guys have a lot going on, trying to, again, show you guys some grace. One thing that I think it's sprinkling out. I keep wiping my computer. One thing that I want to tell you, for all of you that have decided or made the choice to turn in your assignments late, I'm not grading those as they come in. So if you have a 0 on something because you didn't get it turned in, it's going to stay a 0 until I get caught up on all of my grading. Because I think that it's only fair that I grade the assignments that are coming in on time before I grade the ones that are coming in late. So don't email me as to, hey, I turned this in. Why hasn't it been graded yet? Because you chose to turn it in late. And I now have over 300 late assignments in my inbox. Several of you have told me that you're getting more work than you ever did before. You're not getting more work than you ever did before. The difference is that the things that we do in class, in lecture, you're now having to do on your own at home. If a lot of you are working, and I know that, but Mrs. Frakes sent out an email last week, I believe, that talked about classes versus working. And maybe some of your parents have lost their jobs, and so you're working to try and make ends meet. And I think that is noble of you, and I have mad respect for you. At the same point in time, your grades are important too. I have not even given you an assignment for the past 2 weeks. So please don't come at me saying that I'm giving you so much work that you can't handle it. We're doing a read along. So all you have to do is listen. Okay. I'm not giving you anything else to do. So there you go. That's my 2 cents. So I leave your excuses at the door, and your idea, what's important to you, doesn't necessarily, if it's late, doesn't necessarily constitute an emergency on my part if it's late. Okay. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to get to it, but I'm going to get to the things that have been turned in on time first. So with all of that said, again, showing you grace, show me some grace, getting stuff graded as quickly as I can. Enjoy the weekend. I hope you all are taking care of yourselves. And I miss your faces. I do. Take care. Be healthy. Wash your hands. Do some things for you this weekend and get out and enjoy yourselves a little bit, okay? I'll talk to y'all later. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll post Chapter 5 forum for you guys if you have any questions. I'll talk to you later.